That's why he's on the show. Callum Fowler, unbelievable work.
Absolute sniper. It's absolutely insane that they're breaking records in the Championship already.
Reports that Liam Manning could be sacked by Norwich.
They should be fine.
How long's he got before he gets sacked then, Dave?
He's not getting sacked this time, he's staying.
Turki Alalshikh is linked with a Bristol City takeover.
One of the nerdy things I like to look at is kind of how teams press, the intensity, their PPDA.
Is that what you say on all your dates?
Very, yeah. Passes per defensive action, which Wrexham are bottom of the league.
Hello guys, welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled, your Championship podcast. And this week I'm joined by Callum Fowler and Statman Dave. We're going to review all of the best Championship action of the weekend. And we've got some big stories to talk about as well from the dugout. But before we go anywhere, did either of you see Lee Trundle boxing over the weekend? That boy, he's looking big.
He's massive. Massive, that's one way of putting it, yeah.
He's in great shape.
He's in fantastic.
He's in very, very good shape right now.
Probably the best shape of his career. The reason I bring that up is because hopefully we'll have him on the show in a couple of weeks' time. But let's get into the Championship action. And we're going to start with reports that Liam Manning could be sacked by Norwich City. Callum, he's had a pretty torrid time at Carrow Road.
Oh, yeah. 5
defeats at home in a row. Another defeat against his former club this weekend. It's all gone wrong for him, hasn't it?
They've been awful. Like every point they've picked up's away, isn't it? They lost at home in Cup as well. And ultimately, if you're getting points away from home, it's good. But ultimately, people who decide your fate as a manager are going to be your home crowd, aren't they? If you've got 25, 30,000 people and you're serving up slop every week, you're not going to last very long.
Yeah,
it's been awful.
I think the other thing to bring up there is they lost the big derby against Ipswich, lost their 16-year unbeaten record, which is massive in those parts, and then losing against the club that you left in the summer, Dave.
I think it's tough for Liam Manning because he's obviously got a certain style of play, and I don't think that fits Norwich, or doesn't fit what I assume Norwich is. Norwich is a team that I would say high pressing, aggressive, score goals. Last season, the second most goals in the Championship. Go from quite like direct, aggressive football to sitting back, playing out from the back. I think you've got to look at the structure of the football club. I think there, obviously, managers come and go in certain things. It just doesn't feel like the right fit for Norwich City. They've got so much attacking talent, probably the best striker in the league in Josh Sargent. They're not using him. So when they need to go next is going to be really interesting, but I think it's only a certain amount of time before he goes. Absolutely,
and the name's in the frame. Apparently, number one choice for Norwich at the minute, Mark Robbins from Stoke, according to Graham Bailey, that is. He's Norwich's first choice, and he has a release clause. Obviously, Stoke flying at the moment. He's done a brilliant job so far. Did a wonderful job at Coventry as well. Could you see him making the jump? Former club, of course, he played there. Bit of a club legend.
But I feel like he were at Coventry for a long time, weren't he? And then to sort of, well, not jump ship, but be pushed out after doing such a good job, and then land on his feet at Stoke and start as well as they have done. He's not going to be shy of money at Stoke. I know Norwich have got a bit, but I don't see why you'd leave somebody in third. I know it's easy to say this when you're not in that position, and you look at like Eustace last season as a better example of that when he left to go to Derby from Blackburn. But I don't see why you would from his perspective.
Yeah, what about you, Dave? Also, the other names in the frame, Danny Roll and Gary O'Neill.
Danny Roll makes the most sense, doesn't it? It feels more like a Daniel Farke type signing or a David Wagner type manager that's going to come in, that's going to play a certain kind of German style that does fit what Norwich want to do. I think that makes a lot of sense. Michael Carrick's another interesting name, not got a job at the moment, but that would probably be more of the kind of possession stuff that we've seen from Liam Manning. So for me, Danny Roll, it should be number one for Norwich City.
Yeah. And they're currently 20th in the league as we look at the table as it stands. If they get this appointment wrong, is there a danger they go down, or are they too good? They got Josh Sargent.
I think they're far too good. I think it will only be the next coach is going to come in. We'll all know the instant impact of a new manager. But you mentioned the forward line; it's too good for them to go down. But we've seen that before. I just think there's teams that are a lot worse in the Championship this season that have been not playing as well as Norwich, and Norwich haven't been playing well at all. So that'll be fine.
Quite an eye-catching result from the weekend I want to talk about as well. Birmingham 2, Hull City 3. Jack Robinson scored an own goal and got sent off and got a bit of a hammering from his manager as well, Callum. They're now 17th, one win in their last 7, Birmingham. We all hyped them up before the season started. We all thought they'd be really good. Spent a lot of money. Chris Davies under mounting pressure, it feels.
Yeah, rightfully so, though. They come up as EFL points record holders. So the thing is that they've not had to change a great deal. When they're in League One, they didn't have to change the style as much because you're playing the same sort of team every week. You know you've got best squad by an absolute mile. I feel like when he's been tested by different teams and different styles, that's when he's come up a bit short, and it does just look like a lack of experience as a manager. But I don't think there's any shame really losing to all at the form that they're on at the minute. They're a good side.
They're doing really well. Jay Stansfield did pretty well this weekend, and he he needs to do more to lead this team, but 2 goals is going to help his cause.
It's defence that looks shaky. They brought Newman in, hadn't they, from Bundesliga 2. I don't know if they've had a fallout or what's going on, because Clara's exceptional. But why you'd start Jack Robinson over him, I ain't got a clue. Someone else has got to tell me that.
That's got to change moving forward after this weekend, surely.
Yeah,
what have you made of Birmingham so far?
I think there's still a problem going forward. I think that's the issue. Obviously, Stansfield's been fantastic in certain games, but it feels like there's a link missing there, whether it's a number 10, whether it's a striker that plays with him. I just don't think Davies has got the right tactical formation yet for the right game. I think you've got to be very adaptable in the Championship because of how different teams are. Lots of different styles in there. So I think it's about learning about when to play Dykes with him, when to play other forwards with him, and then building from that.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like he doesn't know his best team.
You'd struggle to though, wouldn't you? Yeah. Players like Doyle and Kyogo that aren't even starting or are given to start. Yeah. It's tough job that.
But surely if you're in a run of form like that and you've got Tommy Doyle on the bench and Kyogo, if you spent 10 million quid on and he's got such a goal scoring record, you just got to give him a chance and play them together for a while.
Well, someone that we spoke with, Kyogo, we spoke at the start of the season, could be the signing of the season, and we've just not seen him. Like, he's good enough to play in the Championship. He's very, very, the way that he could link the team, build things, the pressing intensity as well, it's dropped off slightly for Birmingham. It's one of those things where that looks like the easy solution, and we'll probably see it. Again, Chris Davies isn't an idiot. He's going to know that he'll try certain things and eventually it'll work. I think the other thing is we're only at the start of the season. We all know how the form, usually when you're pushing for the playoffs at the back end of the season, that's going to be kicking around, January, maybe late December. So Birmingham have got definitely enough time. I think we looked at them as a team that might win the league. I think we've got to re-look at that and think, so they're a playoff side now if they can get it right. If not mid-table, for a club like Birmingham that's spent a lot of time out of the Premier League, it's not the worst thing in the world to have a stabilising season in the Championship.
Absolutely. And Birmingham, kind of like Wrexham, we're still questioning how much patience the owners are going to have with the current manager. The signing for Kyogo made me think that they were going for it this season, along with others. Do you think they'll give him enough time to turn it around?
No. to be honest, no. I think I'd be saying with Wrexham. I think no team has ever come up from League One and spent that much money without trying to go and do it straight away, ever. And like you're saying, when you're bringing in Doyles and Kyogos and these type of boys, you're not adding it to a weak squad in first place. They didn't fluke their way up. That were a top standard Championship team in League One. To add the key bits of players that they have done with, like Gray and someone like that, the players and the squad depth is ridiculous. There's no excuse to not be pushing further up. I completely agree that if it gets like January, they're in a position again where you can just go and spend more money. So if it gets there, then who knows? But I think he's got to turn it around quickly, because I don't think they'll give him that much more time.
It's going to be a big investment in January, whatever the case is, surely. So do they probably trust Davies to do that?
But I think they need a long-term plan, right? They can't just go, we've got a really good young English coach. It's been a bit difficult for him so far in the Championship. They have to give him time if they want to operate like a proper football club. Because if they go down the line, similar to Wrexham, if they don't think about the long-term planner in these two clubs, then they're not going to get out of the Championship. I think this is when money gets to a point where it doesn't matter as much as League One and League Two. You're at a point now where everyone's got cash, everyone's got good managers, people recruit well in the league. You've got to think of a long-term strategy. We came into the season saying that maybe Wrexham should have gone with Danny Rowell at the start of the season, not now, and that's something they need to stick with now. But Wrexham, we'll speak about them later on. Some say I might have been right.
We will get onto that later. We should probably give Hull City some praise as well, because they're a team that I think I had in the bottom three at the start of the season.
So did I.
We probably all did. Jukanovic doing a very good job, and this is a big eye-catching win, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think they just play to its strengths and what they've got. They just do use McBurney perfectly, I think, and he's such a good striker at bringing everybody else into play as well. I think they went about the transfer window really well to say they were in an embargo and they couldn't spend a penny. But they were unlucky last season, I think, with injuries as well. The Foundations are a good team there anyway.
Ballumi and Miller, wasn't it? Did their ACLs and back
they were unlucky with that. But I think as a team, to see it now on a more consistent basis, they do look quite good.
Yeah, you agree with that?
No, 100%. Again, they've had good foundations for a few years now. I think they underperformed massively last season. I think McBurney, you mentioned before, directly involved in the joint most goals in the Championship. He's been a humongous impact in terms of being a target, being a focal, and then playing off him. And it's simple sometimes, football. Played to a big striker with your feet, with the air, and you're all right.
Absolutely. And I'm very pleased to report that Coventry stay top of the league and unbeaten in the Championship. 2-0 win over Blackburn this weekend. Dave, I'm going to come to you for the stats on Frank Lampard's Coventry, because I saw that they've played 6 of the bottom 8 so far, which is potentially a beneficial start. But how good have they actually been? What's the data?
It's the goals. It's absolutely insane that they're breaking records in the Championship already. And if they continue at this rate, they will set a record. And you look at the underlying data behind it, the expected goals conceded, the expected points, all very, very good. This Coventry team at the moment, will win the league. If they continue at this form, they will win the league. You look at, I think even looking into it from a tactical perspective, they're a very impressive side. Yeah. They're good in all phases of the game. I looked at them and thought, they score loads of goals. How are they defensively? They press really well. They've caught a few teams out playing out from the back this season. Quick transitions. I think there's goals from midfield. There's goals from the wide areas. They've probably got the best striker in the league in Haji Wright. It just looks very, very good. And I think when you look at a team like Coventry, I can't remember a team that was this impressive this early on. The 5-0, 7, the goals they're scoring at the moment, they're just blowing people away. And if they continue that, it's a simple promotion for them in the Premier League spot next season.
It's only 10 games in. Let's not get carried away, Cal. I think important to note, though, you mentioned that the attack's got all the headlines, but it's now 5 clean sheets in a row as well for Coventry, and Kitchen and Thomas at centre-back and Rushworth in goal. They look to be being quite solid at the moment.
But that's not something that's changed. Apart from the keeper, Kitchen and Thomas were two that I think a lot of Coventry fans would maybe look at someone like Kitchen as someone that they could have replaced, maybe, looking at this season. Thomas were really good. They've changed keeper. But then I think Lampard is getting a lot out of the players that were already there, like Torp again, someone that wouldn't really be a starter typically for Coventry, scoring a lot of goals. Like Dave said, they're just really good everywhere. But there's no Leeds or Burnley or Sheffield United this season or it don't look like there's someone like that can challenge them properly. I do just think, and obviously stats are all there, they look miles better than everybody, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Again, like Victor Torp's a player that he's already equalled how many goals he scored last season, this season already. And when you look at how they load the box, there's just so many players in there, and Torp's is kind of late arriving at the edge of the box, and it's really difficult to defend against, and teams have been caught out for that. It's almost like he's playing a little bit of a role like Frank Lampard used to play when he played central midfield, late runs from midfield, getting into the penalty area, joining the strikers. And you look at Thomas Asante as well, last season hit and miss. This season already directly involved in 9 goals. He's looking back to the kind of 2023-24 West Brom season where he finished the campaign with 11. I think he'll do much better this season. But his goal from this weekend was fantastic. The low shot, and you look at the variation of goals he's scoring, and we're not even talking about Haji Wright. So there's so much to this side at the moment that's very, very, very impressive. So they just need to keep playing. Then they've got good variation in being direct. They build with defensive midfielder dropping in. There's loads of things that I just like. Get the fullbacks high. It's just very, very positive. I can't say there's this part of them that's wrong at the moment. Like when I watched Leeds over the last few years, there's always been, they look a little bit open in the transition, or Burnley don't score enough goals. At the moment you look at Coventry and you think, attack defensively in the transition, they're great. I
think Matt Grimes is key to that midfield
massively,
line, as you say. But the wins recently have been without Jack Rodoni, which is just incredible. Do we need to change the view of Frank Lampard given this start to the season?
100%.
What was your view on him before the season, getting the club job?
I think he got tough end at stick really with the Everton side of things. No, he didn't go and do what Moyes has done straight away, but under circumstances I don't think he were particularly bad there. I thought he did all right at Chelsea. He were good at Derby. I don't think he's had a job where he's been particularly bad. People clump him in with like Gerrard and Rooney and these boys just because they all finish at the same time and they're all part of the same generation. Lampard is a very good manager, and to say that they shove a lot of bodies forward as well and they score a lot of goals, how they control every game still from a defensive point of view, there's never like a 5-10 minute spell where somebody's dominating them. I just don't know how to do it. It's so good.
It's a very good football team, right? That's it. You make a really good point. There is massive separation. I think put Lampard more in the category of a Carrick. You'd say both of them have been good managers within their own time, and obviously Lampard's probably done it at a slightly higher level. Obviously what he did with Derby, getting them to such a good position, and then Chelsea Champions League. But then you look at the job that he took after that. Everton, that job's a terrible job at that point. The ownership was a mess. The transfers were a mess. It wasn't the next step for him.
You couldn't win, could you really?
No, it was basically an impossible job. And what he did at Chelsea with a transfer ban as well was really good. So it's nice he's taken, this is the perfect job from a club that was kind of already half built, or probably fully built for a Championship side that maybe needed a little bit more to take them to the Premier League level. But they'll definitely be a Premier League side next season.
Oh, Dave, don't say that. Definitely saying games in, you've done it. Unfortunately, I need to reflect on some predictions we did last week on the show, because myself, Gab and Connor, we all predicted Middlesbrough to get beaten by Ipswich. Of course, that didn't happen.
2-0 Ipswich. I think they'll have too much. I don't think it's a poor look at Middlesbrough. I think they are getting out the blocks right now, not lost in 5. And I agree with you. I think, especially after Southampton's start, I think you've got one side now who look like they're fully pronged to win the league.
I'm going to go 3-1 Ipswich for the same reasons. I think now, this period between the two international breaks, we will see Ipswich really, really kick on and string quite a few wins together, and this could be the start of a long unbeaten run.
1-0 Ipswich for me.
A hat-trick. We've all gone for an
Hat-trick
Ipswich win,
of
so
Ipswich.
you know what that means. Really impressive win from Borough on Friday night. It's a bit of a statement of intent from them, and obviously another defeat for Ipswich.
Oh, another.
Another.
That is harsh, yeah. They look like they were.
You know, I threw in there the defeat to Blackburn, which didn't count.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm going to
yeah.
throw that one in. Go on.
I still don't think they were that bad against Middlesbrough, in all fairness. I think like Leif Davis were very good. There were a lot of opportunities where he's drilling it across to Smodics or an Hurst that typically would be finished. There's penalty miss. I don't think it were as black and white as Middlesbrough just were really good and deserved to win. But they were better in key moments, which is all that matters, in it really. Like they've had such a good start, Borough. And against somebody that I didn't really rate before season started with Rob Edwards and a very different style of play to what Carrick is. Started really good.
I'm not saying it's Sheffield United, Chris Wilder levels of last season, but they seem to be
giving
coming
that vibe,
out.
though.
They seem to be coming out on top in these very, very narrow games and getting the 3 points on the board, which is a good sign moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that comparison with it. Because going back to Sheffield United last season, I didn't think on a consistent basis they looked that good. But every time opportunity come, you'd look after the game and it'd be 2-1 win. And that's all that matters, isn't it? The togetherness aspect looks there for Middlesbrough, I think.
Yeah, and a wide open championship hopefully this season. Dave, I want to talk about Ipswich and Southampton. Obviously, the league table, they're massively underperforming for relegated Premier League teams. But statistically, is it looking slightly more positive?
Southampton, definitely. Southampton should be winning a lot more games. And again, most draws in the Championship this season. It's been small margins. As you mentioned, in the boxes is so important in football. And Southampton have not been taking their chances. They should have scored the second most goals in the league. They should be second in the league in terms of expected points. There's a big issue there with them getting things done. And does it come to the style? Does it come to what they're trying to do? I think when looking at the goals they've conceded this season, one thing that's a bit worrying is they're not dealing with crosses or long balls well at all. Aerially, they're quite poor. And that's something in the Championship you just can't get away with. You just can't, full stop. And if they improve that, they've obviously changed the goalkeeper as well. That was a big problem, massive underperforming before they made that change. Southampton are good enough to, again, put a run together. I thought they'd be a lot higher than they are. But I think they've got to give the manager some time. You know, Will's come into the league, doesn't know the league, he's got to adapt, he's got to change how he plays, the style. Sometimes playing five at the back doesn't feel like what Southampton should be doing. Maybe another body in midfield to control it. In certain games, five's great. So I think they'll be fine long term. The data's really good for Southampton. So it's a similar thing about winning those small battles. Like if they play a Chris Wilder side that's going to be quite direct, that's where I'd worry. They're playing a footballing team like a Norwich, fine, can be a competitive game. So it's a big thing for Southampton. They just need to be a bit smarter, I think, and be better from crossing situations especially. Yeah,
it's interesting on that because you look at Southampton's squad, midfielders and attackers in particular, I thought they'd be really ruthless and dominant this season.
Armstrong and Archer.
And it's just not happened that way, has it?
Yeah, that has surprised me, I'm not going to lie. But the defensive thing don't really, they don't strike me as big physical centre-backs. I know your midfielders come in that as well, but comparing it to Coventry have been so good, somebody like Kitchen and Thomas, two lads that love it and want to get up and physical. And
you need it. You need lads that love it in the Championship, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, they want a bit of that. And if Southampton hadn't got something like that at the minute, and that's probably what's separating them.
And we mentioned about Ipswich a minute ago. I think their squad depth is going to carry them through, even though they've lost at the weekend. And these 3 game weeks, 5 players off the bench they can bring on, they'll be all right, won't they?
Yeah, because of full. But I think that about Birmingham as well, in fairness. With squad level of these teams, you do think against smaller ones especially, across the full thing, once you get to 70th minute and you can bring on £20 million worth of players in Championship, you'd think that is going to get you a lot of points, wouldn't you?
Bit of patience needed, I think, at those clubs. Chris Wilder, talking of him, not got off to a winning start. He got a win, didn't he, this weekend against Javi Gracia, who lost his first game back in charge of Watford. How long has he got before he gets sacked then, Dave?
He's not getting sacked this time, he's staying. Chris Wilder's a manager that knows the league, that knows Sheffield United. And when you look at the result this week and the performance, it was a kind of a classic Wilder performance. A lot of direct passes, threats from throw-ins, from set pieces, but also getting the ball into the box. And I think when you look at the team now versus what we saw at the start of the season, there is some substance there. You know, Callum O'Hara is a player that will carry them in an attacking sense. Both the goals he scored this season, both winners for Chris Wilder. I think that's a massive part. But I also quite like how the team looks at the moment. Ogbene on one side and you got Callum on the other side. He looks like he's got great delivery, especially this week. He put some really good balls into the box and it's created 3 chances, 1 big chance. He's a player that Wilder needs to build off. And then you're looking at a team that came second last season, got 92 points. Could they go on a run this season?
They wish they came second last season.
Sorry.
They'd have gone up.
The playoffs. Second, third, fourth, fifth. Which one? Who knows? But I think Sheffield United will, again, they'll be absolutely fine. I think it's these games that are going to be really tight. 1-0 win here, 2-1 win there. Build a bit of confidence. Because we all know they've got the quality. They as a team, as players, they are massively underperforming right now in terms of what they can do. Look at the squad's quality. The signing they made this week as well from the Premier League. You've got players that in there that could definitely perform better than they've been doing this season. It's been some really, really poor performances, and I think they'll be flying up the league.
And I got a stat pack of my own.
Statman
Sai called me or something like that. Just a comparison between Ruben Sellers and Chris Wilder here. Obviously, Wilder's got 6 points on the board, but the interesting things to note, I think Wilder's actually having less shots. His team are having 51% possession compared to Sellers' 57%, and they're actually making less passes into the final third as well. Everything else is an improvement, but that's just the Wildification of Sheffield United, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing they're just definitely lacking, I think, from outside is some substance in front of goal. They look very slack up top. They don't look like they've got a great deal. He got a lot out of Campbell last season, but he's not looked the same. They've obviously not replaced somebody like Kiefer Moore in an area that I didn't think they were that strong anyway, really, last season in front of goal. I think defensively they were outstanding with defenders that they've got, and Cooper and that. No one's really looked as good as last season until starting to be now. They're starting to chip away a little bit more. But in front of goal, I think they're very light.
When Callum has scored the only goals in 2 1-0 wins, I could think that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, and he's not someone that you can rely on from a goal scoring point of view. Even though he's an attacking midfielder, he's not someone that gets loads of goals for you, is he, Callum O'Hare? No, can't be relying on someone.
But it'll be, I think with Wilder's sides, it's all about set pieces sometimes, isn't it? That's how they get the lead in a game, and then they can hit you on the break after that, or they can play a bit more direct. And when you look at, I suppose, Louis Barry's delivery this weekend was really good from corners. McGuinness probably should have scored. There's enough there. They got, mentioned before, the long throws. That looks like a serious threat.
Yeah.
They need to start picking up those types of goals. And even someone like Danny Ings, a very, very good centre forward. And if Campbell doesn't get a run now of playing up front and putting the ball in the back of the net, Ings is going to come in, and we know that he can score. There's opportunities. I think there's space in the penalty area for Sheffield United right now, which they're not taking. I think when that starts to click, they'll be flying.
It's kind of moving away. They're all not similar sort of profile, but kind of that lack of target man, isn't it, of Kiefer Moore, of an Ollie McBurney.
Yeah, they could do with Ollie McBurney.
They could do with Ollie McBurney. I'm sure they'd like to get that deal done. With the likes of Preston, Hull, Charlton, QPR, all loitering in the top half at the minute, doing really, really well. I wanted to ask you if there's a chance we could have a shock relegation on our hands. Maybe Sheffield United, maybe a Norwich City, maybe a Derby County were very much fancied at the start of the season. I'm thinking back to Luton last year, and we kept saying they'll get out of it.
Yeah,
they didn't get out of it. Could we have a shock relegation this season, Cal?
Maybe. You've got one place took already, haven't you, with Wednesday, which is good. But
that's not a shock, by the way.
No, it's not a shock. The size of the club obviously is its own thing, but it's not a shock for the position that they're in, like financially and all things in background. But like we said, Sheffield United will definitely get out of it. Blackburn are one of them that I think, would that even be a shock really with the state of everything and the players that they've sold and the ownership situation? I think Norwich will be fine. You could be looking at like a Wrexham. Maybe he was right all along.
Hold your horses.
Maybe.
If
I thought someone said about Wrexham at some point in a video a while ago, but they've been very poor.
Yeah,
they've been very, very poor, and you look at a lot of what they do translates to a team getting relegated. You're looking at the shots they've conceded going into the weekend. Last weekend, only Sheffield Wednesday had conceded more shots. Now 2 teams have dropped beneath them with that, but it's still not good. The expected goals against numbers are very, very poor. You look at expected points, they should be 19th at the moment, currently 18th. All the underlying data is very, very poor. And one of the nerdy things I like to look at is kind of how teams press, the intensity, their PPDA. These are 2 things I think are very, very important in the Championship.
Is that what you say on all your dates?
Very, very, yeah. It's PPDA, passes per defensive action, which Wrexham are bottom of the league.
Wow.
Challenge intensity, Wrexham are bottom. Challenge intensity is looking at number of tackles, interceptions, and defensive actions made per the opposition's possession. This is really, really poor. And if you look at the correlation between last season, teams that got relegated last season, 2 of the bottom 4 were the worst for PPDA. You look at the challenge intensity stuff as well, similar stats. It's not good. Their approach for me isn't right at the moment. They're too... They give their opportunities to the opponents too much. When you look at the Championship, because of the quality of what we've got in terms of coaching, how teams play, having only 43% possession, the second lowest in the league, I think that is a real worry when they're not consistent going forward, when they're not building things properly in the final third. So, look, I'd be worried.
It comes to Parky though, doesn't it? Something like that. I think the simplicity of him and having best players in every league up until now is probably what's got him so well and done so far now. But then when you're coming up against teams that will just tactically outclass you, with the players that they've got as well, because that squad is not a bottom half squad at all. They've spent £30 million and some of the players that come up were good already. I think once they sack Parky, they should be fine. But it's if they give him a bit too much leeway because of what he's done previously for him.
I still think there's some issues with the squad itself, not just Parkinson. I mean, you look at like Ben Sheaf, Lewis O'Brien, Kiefer Moore. There's real good Championship players there, but defensively, I know they've signed Dom Hyam and Callum Doyle's there.
Yeah.
But that back three just doesn't seem like it's working, and they're far too open. And in goal,
to find his best one, I think. Yeah, last season it was a real strong point from that.
Absolutely, and in goal, Danny Ward's obviously got injured, but was really poor, and Arthur Okonkwo's not quite been able to make the step up so far. So I think defensively, I think is where the issues are.
But you look at that squad and what they've spent their money on. They've spent their money on players that are good defensively, that are good targets. How do you change this team from being what it is to what it needs to be? Because you need to, again, the style I think is the real problem.
Yeah.
And Parkinson's done a great job to get to this point, and by no means would I want someone to be sacked, but if Wrexham are looking at this right now with what they've done, who they've recruited for, they're in a really difficult situation. Like Lewis O'Brien is a fantastic player off the ball. He's got great work rate. He can provide something. Has he got that quality of a Matt Grimes in midfield? Have they got a controller in there? Have they got someone to really get on the ball and make things happen? Probably not. So how do they change what's going on at the moment with a new manager? It's going to be really tough for the new manager coming in, but they'll have resource in Jan, so they'll be fine.
But if you put Danny Rowell in front of this team, you just think you're going 10 places higher straight away.
Yeah. But I do agree with what Dave's saying, is that this squad has been built by Parkinson, and he's done so well, and he's got that connection with the fans, which shouldn't be underestimated either. If a new manager comes in and doesn't win any of his first 10 games, and because he's taken over a squad that Parkinson has decided they're the players he needs, I don't think getting rid of Parkinson's the answer. I think you've got to. I think I was questionable of him before the season started, and I know they've not been amazing, right? And that's clear to see it. And the stats aren't great, but I just think you have to give him at least till Christmas. And I think if he gets till Christmas and they're in a similar situation, then you can look again in January and look at making the change. But I think he's got too much credit in the bank. He's done too well. They've had some really good away performances, by the way. They went and beat.
But they've only won 2
Millwall
games.
Yeah, there's only been 10 so far. I'll tell you what this is. It is expectation of a season. And I don't have Wrexham in the same bracket as Birmingham, where I think Birmingham are going for it. Top 2 should be pushing all the way.
But your expectation should surely not be 18th though either.
No, with Wrexham, it's got to be pushing for promotion. No?
Yeah.
The money they spent.
Definite top 6
I think I predicted them to finish like
They
12th,
spent more money
so
than
that's
some
where I'm
teams
at.
in Liga and Serie A and the Bundesliga. They've spent so much money to be there. It's awful. It's terrible.
Would you sack Parkinson?
Well, you said it going into the season, they should have probably made the change then. So they should still probably make the change now.
100%.
Now?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah.
And today? You're going to do it?
Right now, before we finish this.
So Danny Roll will be a first choice for Wrexham and Norwich.
It would be for me.
Yeah. All right. On to I've got a little quick fire quiz for you both now. So prepare yourselves, because I'm going to name 2 clubs in the Championship, and all you have to do is be the first to name any player who's played for both of them. Going to start, hopefully, with an easy one. Norwich and Ipswich.
Nunes.
That was a tap-in.
Yeah, that was.
Tap-in.
That was a tap-in. At the start of the game.
Little rebound.
It's best of 5, by the way. I got 5 for you. Next up, Ipswich and West Brom.
Furlong.
I need to correct this now. I'm in a bad spot. You know when you're in a bad spot, your head's now. My head's
Could have
full.
said all Ipswich defence here.
I know, you could have taken your pick. Leicester and Southampton. I tell you what, I've written this question down. I can't even think of one.
That's
Leicester, Southampton.
I thought 2 relegated Premier League teams today. This would be.
I know. I'm again mind blank. I need to get the name out of my head. Will Smallbone. That's not my answer. I just need to get that name out of my head.
About Kevin Phillips.
Can we have producer Seb fact checking Kevin Phillips, please?
Yeah, just one minute.
Shall I leave that one with you?
Leicester.
I ain't got
Peter Crouch.
Kevin Phillips, yeah.
Oh,
Phillips. I tell you who else. Yannick Vestergaard.
second defender.
Yeah.
There's a goalkeeper as well. I can't.
Next up, Hull and Sheffield United.
McBurney. That's another tapping though, that one.
Could have had Harry Maguire.
I could have had lots of names, but that was on the money, that.
And for 5 out of 5,
It's going to be
for a
big.
clean sweep, Coventry and Wrexham.
And Chief.
Oh, he's done it. He's done it. 5 from 5. Unbelievable. That's why he's on the show. Callum Fowler. Unbelievable
Sniper,
work.
absolute sniper. As soon as the Nunes thing, my head went. I couldn't refocus.
Sorry, you didn't have the stats. You didn't have the stats.
I was thinking of the David Nugents and Greg Holfords of this world, Tom Ince's, and unfortunately none of them came up with the teams.
We had a little deep dive into Wrexham. I want to talk about their defeat to Stoke, because Stoke obviously doing very, very well in the Championship, a 1-0 win. Cal, what do you make of this performance? Another disappointing one from Wrexham, but Mark Robins and Stoke just keep winning. Sorba Thomas, another goal. He's been unbelievable in this season.
Yeah, he hasn't. I didn't expect that either, to be honest, because he went on loan, didn't he, from Huddersfield last season. He went abroad somewhere.
Went to France, yeah.
He's a bit of a forgotten man before he got moved. Stoke look really good defensively, obviously outstanding. 6 goals conceded so far in 10 games. And I do think they could have scored more. I think they should be scoring more if I were to be really critical of them. Because in certain... I don't think they make loads of chances, to say it that way, but I think the ones that they do get, they're not being as clinical as they probably should be at the minute. But to say that they're still in third because of that, from my perspective, I think that is a really good sign of a good side.
Yeah, I don't want to do Wrexham too much here, Dave, but another away defeat here and no goals scored. I think Longman missed an absolute sitter at the back post, didn't he, which he should have put in, but not too much attacking threat and defensive weaknesses again.
I think that is the big issue, as we mentioned before. And you look at, is Kiefer Moore, he's definitely the best striker for them right now. Are they getting the best out of him? Are they playing enough balls into the box for him, and they're playing enough up to him? That would be what I'd be looking at for them, because he's a player that could score 15, 20 goals in the Championship easily on a day off. And you look at Sorba Thomas for Stoke, someone that's performing right now. There doesn't feel like there's anyone in the Wrexham team that's really driving, that's carrying the game. Sorba Thomas has 4 goals and 4 assists in the Championship. He's probably been the best left winger in the league, you'd say, right now. You look at the Wrexham team, there isn't anyone there that's doing that, that's carrying them from an offensive perspective. That could be Kiefer Moore, but you need to play to his strengths. You need to play to him, you need to play off him. And I think that's a real problem for Wrexham right now.
Is that because there's too many new players in there, do you reckon? Or?
That's definitely, again, that's something that we've got to look at Birmingham as well. And when there's a high turnover of player, it's very difficult to get a feeling for the side. I'd look at Ipswich and say the same thing.
Yeah.
That, as much as a lot of the players have been with him before, that the blend of it doesn't look right. Sammy Smodics looks like a player that's so short of confidence, not scored in 9 games this season, missed 3 big chances. Feels like a similar thing for Wrexham and for Birmingham, that there is quite high turnover in some of these squads, especially in some key positions. It takes a bit of time to get that balance with teammates, relationships. But if you look after if we look after 15 games, 20 games, then that needs to already be there. So 10 games, it's already a bit of a worry. If that continues for Wrexham, then could be in real trouble.
Absolutely. Can Stoke, you changing your target for them this season, playoff team? Top 2? Where are you putting Stoke right now?
Not top 2. Not when Coventry took one at spots already.
Calm down.
A playoff side, yeah, probably. Because, like we said earlier, they're into Leeds or Burnley or any of them super teams. Apart from Coventry, maybe, there's no one that you think's going to run away with. There were 3 sides that got 90+ points. I don't think there'll be that level of competition, really. And when you look at sides that are in there at a minute, like your Prestons and Charltons that are up there and them sort of sides, a lot of your bigger ones are lower down. So somebody like Stoke, who nobody really took seriously at the start, could be somebody that gets in there.
Absolutely. Next news I want to talk about. Turki Alalshikh is linked with a Bristol City takeover. Tom Radcliffe has confirmed that the club have had talks with the Saudi sports Suprema? I'll get that out eventually. He's been big in British boxing, of course, making a lot of the big fights happen. He's got an awful lot of money. Steve Lansdowne has been the majority shareholder at Bristol City since 1996, but admitted in 2021 he was looking for additional investment. Dave, what could this mean, not only for Bristol City, but for the whole Championship in general? We've talked about money being spent, but this surely would be next level.
It would be, but you've got to do it right still, haven't you? That's the big thing. Like Birmingham City and Wrexham both have finances that blow the league out of the water, and we're seeing where they're in the league right now, 18th and 17th. So as much as you get the cash, you have to do these things right. You have to build a sustainable football club. It would be great for Bristol. And again, I think they'd be investing in the group right, which would take rugby clubs as well as Bristol City, which is important for the area, but you've got to look at what they could do. I think there's a massive opportunity for a Bristol club in terms of youth development. They've got a big catchment area, but it's about getting it right. Where do you spend that cash? you got to look long term. You can't just go in and go, I want to sign all the big players. It has to be about the academy. It has to be about building the infrastructure in and around the football club. And that's hard to do. We've seen clubs do that and mess it up. So as much as it'll be so exciting for Bristol City and for their fan base, has to be the right way of doing it. I think is super important.
Absolutely. And Bristol City have always been this kind of well-run club, knocking on the door of the playoffs, made it into the playoffs last season. This would be a slightly different turn for them, but might be actually what they need to get them in the Premier League.
Maybe, because before last season it felt like they hit a wall, didn't it, really? Like them and Preston, you both looked at and thought, and Millwall, I guess you could say, are they ever going to take that step and get in there? Because they've obviously made the big sales recently now with like Semenyo, and they're doing things right in that regard. But maybe money is all, it makes world go round, doesn't it? Maybe that is what they need really to take that next step, especially when you look at someone like Millwall now. And they've not spent a lot of money, but they've made a lot of very good sales to the point where their squad now, I look at and think is probably better than Bristol City's, despite the obvious gap from last season.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
they need some money.
Yeah, I think they need some money to
I
get
think everybody does. I'd like them to come to Barnsley.
We're going to now look at 3-match previews quickly for the midweek fixtures. Starting, we have to start with Derby versus Norwich. Could it be Liam Manning's last game at Norwich City? Derby struggling, 8 points on the board from 10 games so far. They sit 21st. One win all season under John Eustace. Cal, I'll come to you first here. Derby have really underwhelmed me this season. And this game, it feels absolutely massive already.
Yeah, that is very tough. 'Cause Norwich have started really poorly, but like we said earlier, every single point that they've got has been away from home. And Derby just can't. They're always in the games. Apart from the Coventry one, Derby are always in the games. They've not been absolutely tonked apart from that one.
They were 3-2 up in that game, though.
Yeah, and they crumbled. But they're always in games, and it don't feel like they're too far away from a win. But they've not had one in a while now. It's a lot of draws, and it's like this is a really big chance for Derby to sort of get back on it.
The 1-0 defeat to Oxford, I think, is
And Oxford should have had a lot more.
massively damaging for Derby,
Yes.
especially going into this game. How do you see this game?
Well, I think it's going to be a really interesting clash of styles again. We mentioned Manning and the kind of the slow possession out of the back. Carlton Morris is kind of probably the perfect player to play against a team like that. Yeah, top scorer this season, ranks number 1 for shot creating actions, second for progressive passes, dribbling, making things happen. But he's such a physical player that you can play off. I think that's how Derby will create things. I mentioned before kind of Southampton struggling from crosses. Derby are a team that I like when they put the ball in the box because of how physical they are and how they can create those opportunities. So it's going to be so tough for Liam Manning, but I think this could be his last game in charge.
What do you have for a score prediction then? Let's go for score prediction.
Going to go 1-0 Derby. Simple.
I'm going to sit on the fence and say a 0-0 that nobody will enjoy watching.
I think with like Morris and Sargent, they've not been big scorers, have they really, either of these? But I just feel like it's inevitable that eventually they will get some more.
Go 3-3.
No, I'm not that daft. I'll go 1-1 again.
That'll be enough for Manning or Eustace? Probably not.
Manning might be in bother with that.
Yeah, it's not ideal, is it? Next game we're going to look at is Hull versus Leicester. Massive win, as we've already mentioned, for Hull City at Birmingham. They've been one of the surprise packages so far this season. Leicester, best of the relegated teams so far, ticking over points, but I think they've drawn 5 of their last 6 games or something, Dave. And the fans, they're calling Marty Cifuentes boring at the minute. Drawing too many games.
It's an issue, isn't it? It's one of those things when you look at styles and, let's say, a shot goes in that shouldn't have gone in, you completely change your outlook on how this manager is. But it is important. Obviously, Enzo Maresca played a similar style to Cifuentes, and I think that's kind of where Leicester want to be as a football club, but maybe the fans want to go back to the Jamie Vardy 4-4-2 Ranieri winning the Premier League. It's really important, I think, the perception, we've spoken quite a bit about that on football clubs and the style of play. You've got to match the fan base. If the fan base want you to clip balls into the channel and you've got Wes Morgan and Rob Hoofer at the back, then that's kind of how you've got to look at it. But I think the style's good. I think Leicester will come really good this season. I really do. I think the positioning of some of the players, using Ricardo Pereira inverted again, looks really good. They've got enough quality going forward. It's one of those things where I just think it's a little bit of time. I'm a big fan of Aaron Ramsey. Obviously not the Aaron Ramsey, but a player that's came through at the Aston Villa Academy. I saw him playing youth football. I think he's got big promise. And he's starting to get a run in the team, scored this week. I think they'll be absolutely fine, but the fans maybe need to adapt, or the club needs to adapt. It's either or, because at the moment it feels the same sort of feedback that we got, even with Enzo Maresca winning the Championship and battering everyone. They're going, we're actually really boring.
Yeah.
But it's fine. That's absolutely fine, because football's supposed to be played in different ways. And Jamie Vardy might need to come back after his spell in Syria.
Absolutely. We can't talk about Leicester without mentioning Abdul Fatah, I don't think. Callum, he's the furthest thing from boring in the Championship.
Oh, yeah. I do think that is what they're lacking, though, at number 9. I don't know, a joke about it there, but Andre Ayew or Daka or some other boys that they've got, they look at serious weakness when you look at like the full 11 personnel-wise or just the areas of strength in general. Because they've got that Minoga and obviously Fatul, these type of boys that look outstanding, but I don't think they've got the 9 at minute in comparison to someone, even a lot further down the table, like somebody like Sargent or one of them type of players. I think that is what they're missing, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right, Hull versus Leicester score prediction. Cal, I'll come to you first. Hull in decent nick, aren't they?
It's not easy, that.
How's that fence looking?
I've got splinters. I'm going home, win 2-1.
Nice.
I like
I'm going to
Hull.
go Leicester. Only Oxford and Coventry scored more goals from set pieces this season. Leicester set piece, 3-2 win.
Whoa, that's what we like to see.
We love stats.
Thriller. I'm going to stay firmly on the fence and say 1-1 draw. You're not going to get me off that fence. And the last game we're going to look ahead to this midweek, Wednesday, 7:45, Wrexham versus Oxford. As we've talked about, Wrexham, no wins in their last 4, 3-1-1 draws during that time. Oxford with that vital 1-0 win over Derby at the weekend. Can they get a massive away win here, which would really put the cat amongst the pigeons?
I don't think so.
No.
I would like to say yeah, but I think personnel-wise, this is 2 very different teams. Oxford have got some really good players as well. The Belgian lad at middle looks really good. In certain areas, I think Oxford are great. But Wrexham, I do just look at them, and maybe it's my own perspective and my own fault, but I think Wrexham, players-wise, just should be doing better than what they actually are. And I don't really look at Rowe as too dissimilar to Wrexham, really, in terms of the play styles as much. And if it does just come down to who's got better players, I think Wrexham would win.
I think there'll be individual talent that carries them through, probably.
Mad,
Mr.
Oxford
Anti-Wrexham.
United are going to win, of course. Set pieces, mentioned before already. Second top scorers from set pieces in the league. I think that's going to be big for them. They're going to be tight at the back. 1 corner, 1-0 win.
Oh, my word. That would be absolutely massive, wouldn't it?
That
Score
would be
prediction,
big.
what are you going for, Carl?
I'll go 2-1 Wrexham. Go on, win.
3-0 Wrexham. It's like a big Parky win. Statement. Silence all you haters.
Yeah.
Phil Parkinson, that's what he's going to do. Thank you both very, very much for joining me on this week's Sportsman Untitled. Next week, got Benjamin Bloom and We Are Birmingham's Chris Golding. We'll have to hear what he has to say about the situation at St Andrews at the minute. Please make sure you like and subscribe and get your thoughts in the comments down below of anything that has been said on the show, especially Wrexham and Birmingham. That's all for now, though. We'll be back with Sportsman Extra on Friday, so we'll see you then.